I'm Ellen Winner. I am a psychologist in the Department of Psychology at Boston College and also the chair of the department. My research focuses on the psychology of the arts. I'm interested in learning in the arts, what it means to learn in the arts, what kind of abilities one gains from studying the arts, and whether or not those abilities spill over into other areas of life and learning. About 20 years ago, I began to think about all of the claims that are being made and are still being made about how arts education is really good for kids because it raises their standardized test scores. I was always skeptical of this claim because it seemed improbable. And in the late 90s, my colleague Lois Hetland and I decided to really take a look at the evidence. And we searched for everything published and unpublished since 1950 on this topic and did a series of meta-analyses to determine whether there was any evidence that studying the arts actually causes academic grades and test scores, which means verbal and math test scores, to rise. And we found no evidence for the causal claim that arts education boosts test scores. We did find a correlational connection. Students who take a lot of arts have higher test scores than students who take fewer arts or no arts. But that is not a causal connection. That is a correlational connection. And there's all kinds of possible explanations for that besides causality. For example, students may come from families which value academics and the arts and push their kids to do well in both. The important thing is that the experimental evidence where you can actually test for causality showed no relationship. We published this and we got in big trouble because people in the arts advocacy world and in the Arts Foundation world told us that we should never have published this finding because it was going to ruin quality arts education for the children in this country. And we were pretty upset by the negative reaction because we of course didn't want to hurt the arts. We wanted to change the conversation. We didn't like the way in which the arts were used as an instrumental as a justification for test scores, which means that tests are important and the arts are just a means to that end. So what we decided to do was to go into visual arts classes and look at what was actually being taught and what was actually being learned and try to understand the kind of learning that does go on in visual arts classes. We picked the visual arts because we had to start somewhere. We could have picked any other art form. And we spent a year videotaping and interviewing, and then we spent another year coding our videotapes, and we came out with a framework of the kinds of broad habits of mind that we believe students are learning from the arts that have nothing to do with test scores. So these habits of mind include things like learning to look closely, learning to envision, which means generate mental images, learning to reflect, because in art classes students always have critique sessions where they have to learn to evaluate their own work and others' work, and they also have to talk about the process that they used in creating a work of art. So a lot of metacognitive skills are being trained. They learn to persist because projects take a long time. They're not one-shot worksheets. They learn to what we call stretch and explore, take risks, muck around, try to discover things. So these are some of the broad habits of mind that we saw being taught. Amazingly to us, the framework, which we published in a book called Studio Thinking, The Real Benefits of Visual Arts Education, the framework went viral. And art teachers all around the country, and even in some other countries, started to use this framework. Many art teachers said, we were doing this all along, but now you've given us the language for it and the theory for it. Other teachers said, we weren't doing it, but we want to start doing it. We're now embarked on the more difficult venture of trying to figure out how to assess the extent to which these habits of mind are learned in art classes, and then to assess the extent to which these habits of mind, if learned, actually transfer to other areas of the curriculum. So for example, if a child learns to look really closely in visual arts classes, does that inclination to observe carefully spill over into, say, biology class? Or if a child learns to envision and generate mental images and manipulate mental images in art class, does that spill over into, say, a physics class. That's the challenge that we face now, and we feel very gratified that we think, change the conversation somewhat away from justifying the arts in terms of test scores to instead thinking about the habits of mind that the arts engender.